and this is my senior associate, Mr. Y, on the call with me.
Good afternoon. You can just call me Y, and my pronouns are he, him. Miss X is a she, her. How would you like to be addressed, and what are your preferred pronouns, please?
Well, my name is Nehil Bhatnagar, and you can refer to me by my first name. My preferred pronoun is he, him.
Please, can you spell out your first name for us, sir?
It's Nehil.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, great. So since we're meeting for the first time, just to give you a brief background about us, our firm practices extensively in sports and entertainment law, which is where my primary expertise lies, but both Y and I have a great deal of experience in negotiating and litigating contractual disputes, so we thought it would be best for you that both of us understand your concerns completely. So to begin, have you consulted any solicitors before us?
No, this would be my first time in a solicitor's office.
Okay, then perhaps we can now quickly canvass over how this session is going to go and what you can expect from us today. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Why, how about you start us off?
Certainly, Miss X. So Snehal, to begin with, we have a couple of housekeeping formalities to go through. First of all, I see that we have very little time with you today, just about 30 minutes. Yeah. But I want to assure you that we will be hearing all your concerns and try to pose solutions, both legal and non-legal, as efficiently as possible. Also, since I understand that we are meeting in an online forum, we apologize in advance for any accidental interruptions or our voices being cut off at any moment. Believe me, both Madam X and I would much rather prefer that we meet at the firm's office, but please bear with us.
Sure.
It would also be a good idea to now make sure that your device is either fully charged or plugged in and that you have stable internet access. But if you do drop off at any point in the meeting, please don't worry or panic. You can just join back on this link and we'll just kind of pick up where we left off. And we request you to please be patient with us should the same happen on our end. Now, since this is a short session and your first consultation with us, the firm will be charging just half of its hourly consultation fees, which is about Rs 10,000 for an hour. Should you wish to consult with us further, which you are entirely at liberty to do or not, our fixed rate is the same as the one we mentioned. You additionally may or may not be required to sign a retainer based on your case, but that is again something that you are free to take a call about at the end of the session today. Is that all right so far?
Yeah, everything all right.
All right. Okay, so Snehal, it's important for the client's best interest that we assess any conflict of interest that we may have. What that essentially means is that we do not represent a client who might be seeking relief against any of our pre-existing clients. So during the course of this session, as you mentioned the names of other parties, and if we sense a conflict of interest, we'll immediately stop you there and let you know. And if you want, we can direct you to other solicitors as well. So in order to help both of us as client and counsel approach the issues more comfortably, we'll ask you some simple questions to assess your problem to the best of our understanding. We encourage you to be as open as possible because that'll put us in the best possible position to advise you. Also, be assured that anything you say during this meeting is confidential and will stay within this room. Now, the contours of confidentiality can be trickier to canvass online, but we want to assure you that this is a secure link. This session is not being recorded, and we're the only ones in the room with the door and the windows locked. Please, can you confirm that it's the same on your end?
Yeah, it's absolutely same on my end also.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll be making a few notes through the course of the session for our future reference, but these are also confidential documents. So unless you don't have any further questions, I believe you had informed my secretary that you have certain issues relating to the non-performance or breach of a contract. So please, can you elaborate on that and tell us what brings you here?
Yeah, surely. So if you would be watching movies, then you would know that I'm the Nehil Bhatnagar, the lead actor in the movie Kamine Dost, which was a big hit, and you can also term it as my lucky break, because of which it opened a floodgate of opportunities, and it was hugely successful, although it was made on a small budget, but compared to that, it was an exceptionally hit movie. And after that, many opportunities came to me, but the stories were on the same lines as the first movie. And as an actor, I want to explore other genres also, so I did not accept the same. Then thereafter, the producer of my movie organized a success party, and there was also a press conference being held in which my co-stars and people related to the movie were also present. And it was a this conference was in a light mood. We are being asked funny questions and replied in the same manner. Everyone was laughing, and I also tried to maintain the rapport with the conference. So one person from the media asked me, "What do you think of Mr. Gautam Kumar in your role in Kamine Dost?" So I was in the same funny mood and replied, "Gotham, yeah, Batman of Gotham. No one performs the role I did." And because of the rhyming attempt in my reply. Then after the conference and the party ended, I went back to my home. But to my shock, in the next morning when I woke up and saw the news headlines, the title was that I had said Gotham is no match for me, which is clearly what I never meant. And but I immediately realized my mistake and tried to reach Gotham, but there was no response from him. I made several attempts to contact him at his house, but there was no a response from there also. But in the last, someone from his house picked up the call and curtly told me no one was at home. So after some time, after this all issues settled out, I went back to home. But I realized that it has impacted me in a way that the people started to maintain a distance from me. Whenever I asked them for a new movie or a story, they were always giving an excuse or so. And this took almost around the 10 days. But after that, to my surprise, Prostarch Productions, a leading production house in the industry, came up with an irresistible offer. They offer me 3-year contract with monthly salary and remuneration for each movie they produced during 3 years. And I was ecstatic about the offer. And as I went in to sign the same, but one lawyer said me that the there was a clause that you should first read, but I didn't give heed to any such information because of because of the excitement. But it was only later that I realized my mistake. Initially, there was a discussion on the story. They orally agreed to start movie on an Indian superhero. And I was equally excited to be the first Indian superhero. The children are all excited about the same. There was huge buzz on the social media platforms also. But y- it's obvious that there's no such movie been made till yet, and my career is on a standstill now. There's no news about the shooting of the movie, no other thing, nothing from their side. I went to the Poshraj production head, and he explained me that he was not in a financial capability due to the pandemic, and which was the main reason my movie was not being made. But I questioned him, so what about the other movies that you are releasing subsequently? And I've even heard news about the shoot of other movies also being done. This is the case only with my movie. What is the reason? So all of a sudden he lost his cool and we entered into a heated discussion in which, um, yes, he gave me a threat that he would destroy my career using his relations in the industry. And when I said that, even I have many more offers at my end also, but he he responded that first you read your contract and then talk to me. It was when I read the contract I realized that there was a clause which said I cannot act in any other picture during the period of contract. Now, even the director or producers of my first movie, they are also afraid because of this production house. And I all see it as a revenge plot being done by Mr. Gotham for a mistake which I never committed. It was never my intention to defame him. But you know how these networks, or you can even say nepotism in the Bollywood plays. There's no respect for talent and only for connections. So uh, yeah, for the past few days, I've been under extreme mental duress, and this has taken a lot of toll on me. I see it as an end to my career. I want to talk to Poshraj to either get the movie done or get away with the contract, but there's no response, and I don't see any hope, and I'm almost on the verge of suicide. I'm so full of vengeance that I would write down their name in the suicide note. So at least even after I'm gone, they're still in the trouble. And also, I seek your help in this matter.
First of all, Mr. Snehal, thank you so much for being so forthcoming and sharing an issue that has been such a deep part of your life in the last few days. If it's okay with you, I feel like a lot has been said in the last few minutes. Would it be okay for me to take a moment and just kind of re-encapsulate what you said to make sure that what we understood and what you said has a direct symmetry of information?
Yeah, surely.
So from where we understand it, your first movie was Kamine Dost, which was a huge hit. I
Mhm.
believe even I went to the theaters to watch it as well. And that kind of really opened the doors for you to try on other roles, but you felt that there was some kind of typecasting, and in the sense that you were being cast in the same type of genre which you wanted to break out of. And in one of the success parties thrown by the producer, there was a kind of joking atmosphere in the sense that some statements were being made in a joke, and there was certain media presence also there who happened to catch you saying something about Mr. Gautam Kumar as well, which, much to your misfortune, was misunderstood, and then
Yeah.
it blew up into a big controversy later on. Thereon, I think you even tried to clarify the conflict, and you went to several recourses to try and talk to Mr. Gautam Kumar personally, but you were turned away, and this really kind of ended up generating some negative publicity in the sense that other media houses have been kind of shying away from contracting with you and contracting your services. And like specifically about Poshraj Productions, I think they offered you a 3-year contract,
Mm.
and they had offered certain movies as well from your end. And there was a specific clause that I think we can delve a little bit deeper into sometime into the session.
Yeah.
But I think they have kind of stopgapped the movies that you were supposed to be producing on the alleged fact that there is some kind of financial incapability from their end, given the pandemic and all of so. But you have noticed that they've been doing active work on some of their other
Yeah.
movies as well.
All excuses.
So lastly, I think there was something you said about a threat also being leveled at you, a kind of heated discussion you got into the production house with, which has really kind of caused a lot of mental duress for you. And
Mm.
only after reading the contract, you discovered that there was a sense of exclusivity clause as well, which stated that during the 3-year period of you contracting with Poshaj houses, you are prohibited from contracting with any other production house to take up any acting or related services. Would that be a fair summation from your end?
Yeah, I think you have covered the point.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you may step a few few steps away for a second, who exactly is Mr. Gautam Kumar?
So Gautam is a son of famous hero of the Bollywood, Mr. Rudra Kumar, and his father was also a hero. So subsequently, he also became the hero, and it's not something official, but there are talks that people always say that I was termed as a competitor to him.
Oh. So was this Mr. Gautam Kumar a co-star of yours, or just another actor that was referenced in your statement?
Yeah, he was just another. He was not in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and you seemingly pointed towards hints of nepotism in the industry, in the sense that Mr. Gautam
Yeah.
Kumar, like against the like the statements that you had made against him, that seemed to have created enough backlash within the industry itself for the producers to shy away from making movies with you.
Yeah.
And could you please confirm that you haven't had any kind of contact with Mr. Gautam Kumar after the fact, after the statements had been made and published?
Yeah, after I came to know about that statement, which was going viral in the media. There was no communication from his side, even when I tried.
And would these publishments of the story be primarily online, or were there any news articles or the like published about it as well?
They were mainly in that tabloids and the movie section and all
Hmm.
everywhere.
Please, can you explain what statement you made? Like, if you remember the exact statement or something similar, anything that can help us right now?
Yeah, it didn't have much meaning behind it. It was just to make the rhyming sound and, steal the spotlight also there. So it was Gotham, yeah, Batman of Gotham. No one performs the role I did. Just a funny statement with the rhyming scheme.
Of course, we understand that. If it's okay, can we move ahead to this contract that you had with the production house?
Yeah.
All right. So, how old were you when you signed that contract?
Well, I'm 30th right now. So
Mhm.
I was maybe it was on just before my 30th birthday.
Okay.
And what was the duration of said contract? Could you please elucidate on that as well?
It was for a term of 3 years.
Term of
So it is to valid till the 1st of March 2024.
1st of March
Very, very
2024.
all right.
Yeah.
And under the contract, to your prior knowledge, you had to act in 3 movies, is that correct? Or just any movie in 3 years?
Yeah, so there was no explicit mention of the number of minimum or maximum number of movies, but the clause said that they would try to or plan to produce one movie a year if the production house finds it suitable story and the supporting cast, etc.
Okay. And this clause you mentioned, to us it sounds a bit like a non-compete clause. Could you please elaborate on what it said?
Yeah, so it was kind of that I cannot take up another movies, and movies are we are mainly known for the movies, but there are also other things, and there was like performances and all, but the clause said that I have to take permission from them to take up any other activities related to my career.
Hmm. And when you went to seek such permission, did they refuse to give it?
No, they refused. For example, like as far as I can recollect, uh, I seek their permission 4 times for an ad and 2 times for stage performance, but I received no communication from their side.
Understood.
2 times for, right. So, to your knowledge, do you think that there is any establishable contact between the production house itself and Mr. Gautam Kumar? Any influence that he could exercise over the production house?
Well, everyone has a connection also in this industry, but I'm not aware of that he is exercising such influence upon the production house. But it seems to me as the same, because why would Poshraj be discriminating specifically against me only?
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Also, what is an ideal end for you over here? What are you seeking to gain? Do you want to work with the production house? Do you want to get out of the contract?
No, no, I just want to save my career, and for that I need to be relevant. Once a star loses relevance, no other production house or director wants to make a movie with him. So I just want an amicable settlement so that I get out of this mess.
So again, do you want to continue with them? Do you want to make movies with them specifically, or do you just want to avoid them? And then you mentioned that you got offers for an ad. Do you want to go in that direction, or do you want to stay with them and make movies with them still?
Yeah, I can still make movies with them.
Okay.
That's not a problem. And even if they let go of me on simple terms, I even don't mind that. Both works for me. I just want to get back on the silver screen.
Right, right, right.
Okay, understood.
So, in that sense, would the renegotiation of the exclusivity clause be something that is appealed to you? In the
Yeah,
sense that, yeah, in the way.
definitely.
Yeah, of course.
So I think before we jump into any kind of talks about resolution, I think one important idea is to kind of take a step back and talk about how you feel about the issues at hand. Do you agree with?
Yeah, of course. But before that, you mentioned that they put you through some sort of mental duress. So, along with the solutions that we just briefly spoke about right now, is monetary compensation something you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. But once we are able to establish, I we can also see that yeah, it's not a problem with them because I just want to get back to movies and start shooting. There is that is the place where I think my heart belongs to. But even that would also be a good option to add the monetary compensation.
Right. So I think at this point, it would be a good idea to ask you if you think the business relationship is reconcilable between you and Posh Productions, Posh Raj Productions, because I think you had mentioned that you had a heated discussion with them,
Mhm.
and salvaging that kind of business relationship really has two fronts. Firstly, the fiduciary relationship, and secondly, the part of the human element.
Yeah.
So do you think that reconciling your differences is something Posh Raj would be amenable to?
Yeah, I would prefer to. I would also accept to reconcile with them because they and I had already announced the next Indian superhero movie, and
Right.
the social media was already abuzz with that, and
Hmm.
I think that it would again give life to that movie and all.
Right. And you know why we ask this is really because along with providing legal solutions to your problems, while we may be able to help you salvage your fiduciary relationship by securing your legal interests with the other party, I think the human element is also really important for us to consider as well.
So,
And for you to be able to continue your business relationship with them, you need to be able to work past your personal reservations and trust each other.
Also, Snehal, you mentioned something about the great duress it has caused you, and we're very sad to hear about the point it has pushed you to. So, I think we have an excellent in-house therapeutic counseling department, which has helped several people in your position work out differences with their business partners and also for themselves. So, should this be a desirable avenue for you to go down, we'd be more than happy to set up a consultation with you with a therapist, completely free of charge for the first session. Then you can evaluate whether it's a good fit for you.
I I don't know. I'm just fidgeting a bit, but I'm not sure about this. I don't know. It was just in the momentum I lost my cool and all. But
Right,
but
right.
I would surely uh, take your advice. So if you suggest me to,
Well,
Okay, maybe if you want, you can think about it. Until then, we can
yeah.
look at the more legal aspect of things over here.
right.
Okay. Yeah. So what we see clearly is that you have a contract with the production house. That is clear, and they seem to be in breach of the contract, correct?
Correct.
And there are a bunch of avenues you could explore over here. We lay out our options to you, and we'll of course recommend one, but the final choice is yours. Why would you like to elaborate on this a little bit?
I think from our end, Mr. Snehal, there are really three avenues you can go down on. The first of which would be your general run-of-the-mill trial advocacy, in the sense that you can take them to court, you can litigate against them. But again, there are some considerations to be had on that point as well. And that is why I think Miss X especially would have a better background.
Yeah, if I can elaborate on the litigation aspect of it. First off, as you mentioned, they have caused you mental duress, and you would be liable for some compensation there, along with the fact that they were in actual breach of their contract. So that has caused you some financial difficulty, I'm assuming, because you were unable to do work for so long and work that money that they were supposed to give to you. So of
Yeah.
course you find compensation that end. One more thing that can come out of the root of litigation is that they can be asked to specifically perform. What that means is that the court will direct them, should you win the case, will direct them to give you back the movies you were supposed to do within 3 years, along with monetary compensation and the rest. And there are also alternative methods of dispute resolution that are different from litigation, and they offer some level of confidentiality and are also a little more time sensitive in case you want to hurry this up, correct?
That is correct. And I think another
Yeah.
thing that is really important for you as a person of your Reputation is the confidentiality of these dispute resolution mechanisms that they offer you, because obviously reputation is something that is a very important consideration for you. So these forums especially can sort of give you the private environment to safely talk about your interests and resolve your disputes amongst yourselves. And the third forum, which we personally would recommend to you, since we did hear from you that you seek an amicable resolution, and this forum would primarily be that of either negotiation or mediation. And what essentially this forum entails is that you would be required to sit down in a safe environment with the other party and talk about your problems amongst yourselves in a confidential environment that can really allow both of you to uncover your interests and concerns and see if you can reach a mutually amenable and mutually beneficial resolution.
Yeah.
So what we of course recommend is the third avenue over here, just to try that at first, because we have a strong case over here, which is something that we can talk about with them, and I'm sure that will bring them to the table to negotiate and mediate the solution. However, the final choice is yours. Now that we've laid it out for you, what do you think you would like to explore first?
Yeah, as you have also suggested, and even I think that the third option should be taken up first, because this industry likes to stir up the things and, yeah, and unnecessarily make a buzz around it. So if I can quietly have the amicable settlement with post-rush production, that would be great.
Okay.
Correct. So just to kind of understand you, you said you'd want to go for the third option, which is either a negotiation or a mediation, depending on the gravity of the dispute itself. We want to assure you that that is something that we can get started working on straight away. So I think any considerations you have to that end should not be a problem for you. Further, you can just reach out to us anytime you feel like, if it has anything to do pertaining with the counseling aspect of things. Now that your legal interests have been secured, I think it's an important consideration for you also to take care of your mental health being.
Yeah. Unless you have anything else to add for us.
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Okay, then since we've revisited how the session has gone, I think it would be prudent to think about how we're going to take it forward. So if you're satisfied with the consultation so far, would it be safe to assume that you want to continue engaging our services?
Yeah, I'm sure about that.
All right, thank you. So my secretary that you had made an appointment with will reach out to you soon for the contractual documents that we require from you. I think this is important for us because they'll help us get a better understanding of the issues over here, and we can chart out a more definitive plan of action once you can take a look at the actual clauses that you've been referring to.
Right. And also shortly after this consultation, we'll also be sending you a list of documents from our end as well. The first of which would be the retainer agreement that will essentially constitute our continued engagement in your case. Then a copy of the confidentiality agreement that we had discussed at the beginning of the round, just for your safekeeping and perusal, because obviously confidentiality seems to be an important consideration for you. And we would also be sending you a fee schedule arrangement for you to sign so that we can begin our research straight away and start working on your case. Just for the sake of brevity, we will also append our contact details for your reference, and please feel free to contact us anytime you have any questions or concerns after the fact, or if you want to set up a meeting with our grief counselor. Those are really the things from our end. If you would like to make any last remarks, we'd be open to hearing them.
Yeah, so thank you so much for hearing me out in this session. I think has again enlightened the hope in me that this is not the end. And I will look up to what other things I have to do, or otherwise I'll ask for another session.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for meeting with us today. Mr. Student Coordinator, that concludes our client consultation session. If we may consult with each other now. Okay. So, Mr. Y, how do you think the session went?
I think overall, the issue that we seem to be dealing with is war on two fronts. Firstly, the personal side of the things, which in the sense that our client seems to have gone through a lot of mental duress because of this event, and rightfully so, because the problem is of such a big magnitude that his entire career is at risk. But speaking specifically about his legal interests, I think what our client was really concerned about, and Mr. Snehal has persistently pointed towards, is his desire to break out of the typecasted role that he's been forced to play in the industry, as well as resolving this dispute as quickly as possible, because that seems to be an important consideration for him, because actors have to stay relevant in that industry, and I think he's certainly right at that end.
Absolutely. So I'm glad he seemed very open to sharing with us on both fronts, like you said, the personal and professional front. And I think regarding his case over here, I think it's a pretty strong one. There's a very clear breach of contract over here, correct?
Correct.
Right. So if we might be forced to choose the litigation path, that is something we can do, of course.
But I think primarily mediation would be the more appropriate forum for him, especially since he wants an amicable resolution of the dispute. I think the mediation forum would also allow him to maintain his business relationship with Forrest Productions, as well as securing his interest of working into that whole aspect of renegotiating the exclusivity clause as well, which I think is something that as soon as Mr. Snehal sends over his contract, we should take a look towards.
One thing that we very briefly touched upon in the session is the thing about Mr. Gaurav Kumar. Even though that's not extremely pertinent and there are things we have to deal with before that, in case that comes up in the future, and I think there was some vague allusion to him being defamed, but based on the statement that we heard, and we have the exact statement, and I think we should send someone out to look for the exact publications like you had asked for, and we can see if there might be a case for defamation there. In case there is, we should be prepared, but prima facie, I don't think there is, because the statement does not seem to be one that that purports to be true and damages his reputation.
As far as the reputation of tabloids themselves go, they are notorious for printing out misled statements, so that is something that we can cover. Also, another thing that we could obviously look towards is how much of an influence Mr. Gautam Kumar possesses in the industry itself, although it may not be a direct consideration for him. We could also have an internal team make an investigation or an inquiry as to whether Mr. Gautam Kumar has been in contact with Post-Raj Productions and is consciously sabotaging Mr. Snehal's career. I think that's a prudent investigation.
But more importantly, we need to look at the contract. Because we agree, there seems to be a breach of it. And how amicable do you think the other party is going to be coming in? How open to solutions in the negotiation do you think they're going to be?
I think given the stature of Mr. Snehal, they would also like the resolution to be as quick as possible, as fast as possible. But I think one important consideration from their end is that Mr. Snehal's reputation is secured first publicly, so that any backlash that he faces does not fall directly onto them. I think that is the only reason that they have kind of secluded themselves from him. So once we can kind of secure that, I think it would be an important kind of conversation to get into.
I also think that they would be more open to it coming in because we have such a strong case when it comes to breach of contract, which is something I think we should make clear to their counsel. And even though that wouldn't be part of the actual mediation process, I think that's a precursor that we should make clear going into it, because I genuinely do believe that we have a strong case here.
So to avoid further ramifications, maybe we can get started on the work straight away. How would you like to divide the work?
I think both of us can do some preliminary research, especially when the contractual documents come. I want to take a good look at them. And as you mentioned, we have to take a look at the statements that he has made otherwise, and you please put your team on it. And then I think we should get to this as soon as possible. And maybe we should follow up with Mr. Snehal and the counselor part that you had mentioned. And maybe in the next consultation session that we have with him, we can maybe reopen it now that we've discussed his primary concern. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that the second consultation will be just as more important. Firstly, on the part of the grief counselor, and secondly, because we'd also need to prep him before we actually take him into any kind of a mediation. I think we should apprise him of all the different factors a mediation entails and what is expected of him in that particular forum. That would really help him out, I think.
Okay, I think we have a good idea of where to proceed from now. And do you want to reconvene tomorrow?
Yeah, how does 9 a.m. work for you, ma'am?
That works for me. So let's just do a basic research and get back to each other.
I'll get my team on.
Mr. Student Coordinator, we're done with our post-consultation session.
If the judges have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer.
I'm Sridharan, senior advocate here. Why do you feel there's a clear case of breach of contract?
Because as Mr. Snehal had described to us, the production house owed him certain contractual obligations, such as the movie that had to be run 3 years, and they gave the excuse of COVID, which would have been a force majeure element over here. However, as he also stated, and we will look into, they have been doing other movies, so that element doesn't really factor in, and this would be a clear breach of contract.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your question.
I request, judges, the time is over for the first session, and we are looking forward for the second session. So I request the participant to please log out from the session.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Respected judges, we are waiting for the other team to join. What you want to, whether you want some time to deliberate upon yourself or what we can do, or shall we allow them to join?
Whatever the other judges say. Loda sir, Nagaraj sir.
Shall we listen to the second one also, and then we do it together?
Okay.
Fine, sir. So we call them.
If it is okay with Sri Nagaraj.
Nagaraj sir?
Kindly check with Professor Nagaraj also.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's fine with me. We will hear the other team also.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
First, I request the student coordinator to please introduce our judges.
Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the final session of the Lewis and Brown and Forrest S. Mosten International Client Consultation Competition. I will start by introducing our judges. We have Professor Dr. V. Nagaraj, Vice Chancellor, DNLE Jabalpur, Mr. C.S. Lodha, Managing Partner, C.S. Lodha Associates, Mumbai, and Mr. V. Sridharan, co-founder of Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. So I hope that the participants and the clients are clear with the basic rules. We have a 35-minute time frame with a loose distribution of 25 minutes for counseling and 10 minutes for the post-counseling discussion. The participants and the client and the participants are strictly advised not to reveal their identity at any point of the whole session, and there would be negative marking if you exceed the time frame. And also, please keep your video on.
Sorry for interruption. Sir, Nagaraj sir, are you there in session?
Yeah.
Because you have been going through two judges.
Yeah, I am very much here.
Yes. Okay, fine.
Very much here.
Sir, are you joined with two devices?
Respected Nagraj, sir, are you joined with
Yeah.
two devices? Okay, yes.
Using two devices.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Noted, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you
So,
continue. You continue.
okay. So the participants may give me a indication to start the timer.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hello, good evening. It is very unfortunate that we are having this session virtually today, but keeping in mind the current scenarios, we are here. So if you want, you can take 2 minutes to kind of familiarize yourself with the platform and also check if you're having any connectivity issues, or if you're, please let us know if you're clearly audible and visible.
Yeah, everything seems fine to me.
Okay. Can my co-counsel check?
Hope I'm audible as well.
Yeah, perfectly audible.
Okay. So even in between the session, if you're facing any technical glitch whatsoever, please do feel the liberty to stop us and let us know. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we're settled, can you begin by telling us your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Nehil Bhatnagar,
All
and you
right.
can refer to me by my first name.
Great. Okay. So as you are aware, I'm Counsel 1 and here we have Counsel 2 and we are from XYZ Law Firm, and we are here to provide you with any sort of legal assistance or guidance that you will be needing. All right.
Okay.
And before we begin, I would just like to ask you, how are you? How have you been pulling through the pandemic?
Yeah, I've been fine. The pandemic, although it has indirectly or indirectly affected me, but as compared to other people, I think I've been safe till now.
All right, that's great to hear actually. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, how did you come to know of us and why did you decide to come here? Can you please tell us that?
Well, I was searching up actively on the internet and came across you, and you had a quite a wide appearance on the internet, and hence I made the contact through them there.
All right, okay, that's good to hear. Okay, so is this your first time visiting a solicitor's office, Hussein?
Yeah, this is my first time visiting any solicitor's office.
Okay, all right, don't worry. We'll just be explaining the process that is going to take place today to you in all right. So
Yeah.
we are going to first interview you for about 25 to 30 minutes, during which we will be asking you questions to get into the crux of what you are facing, the issue that you're facing, all right?
Okay.
And the reason why we are two counsels here today is that one of us has the ground level details of your problem, and they will be, by counsel 2 will be aware of it, and you can contact him at any point of time if you have any queries. All right, so that will be in your disposition. And also, you will observe us taking notes during the discussion. This is to for us to easily analyze your problem. All right. And we strongly suggest that you also have a pen and paper in front of you, or any material that you are comfortable with, so that you can quickly jot down the points in our discussion.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So also to ensure the confidentiality of this session, any notes that we will be taking or the material that we will be recording will be destroyed after the completion of this case, and it will not be disclosed to any other person. So please don't worry about that, all right? And we would also like to advise you to not disclose the notes that you will be taking to a third person. Okay, so this is to ensure the confidentiality. And another thing that we have to inform you is that we are presuming an absence of conflict of interest over here. So for your understanding, a conflict of interest arises when any client in our firm, present or past, is in any way related to your case. Okay. So if such an occurrence were to arise, we would advise you to go to another solicitor. Is that
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Okay, so now that's clear. We would like you to quickly take a look in the chat box, where you will find the link to mainly three things. All right. So first will be the form that you will have to fill with your personal details. Okay. So don't worry, this data will not be going anywhere. It is just for to ensure our law firm smooth communication with you. So it's just basic details about you that you will have to fill. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And also there will be a leaflet containing the fee structure for this session as well as for the subsequent sessions if it may come to that. So can you please take a quick look at that and tell us if
Yeah.
you're all right with it?
So opening. Loading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I've had a look of it, and I think I'm good with the fees.
Great. Okay, that's all right. But just to inform you, our law firm also takes up pro bono cases and we have a legal aid service. So if you opt to apply for that, there is an application form in the same link. And if we find you to fit our criteria, then we will definitely be more than happy to provide you with any financial assistance that you need. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so would you like to fill the details form now or at the end of the session?
I'll make sure to fill it at the end of the session.
So, Mr. Neil, do you have any other queries till now?
No queries at this point.
Yes. So, Mr. Neil, whatever we discuss here will strictly remain among us. Whatever we discuss will not go out of this room. And according to Advocates Act and according to attorney-client privilege, we are not at the liberty to disclose whatever we discuss here to a third party. And even if we are, even Indian Evidence Act grants us protection that we cannot disclose this in front of everyone if the need arises.
Okay.
So I request you to be as open as possible and then tell us your state clearly so that we can assess the situation clearly and then we are in a better state to advise.
Yeah, surely maintain that.
Yes. And you notice that throughout the session, after you explain us your problem, we'll be asking you questions. So we expect that you be honest while you answer those questions so that we get a clear understanding.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And I want to tell you to note that whatever we discuss here are just advices. We will not take any decisions on your behalf. You will be the one who will be taking every decision.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So if you're clear with everything, would you like to tell us why you're here today with us and what would you like to gain out of this session?
Yeah, surely. So, if you watch film, then you might have come across the new film by the name of Kameen Dost, because I was the leading actor in that film. And, it was a huge success for me and can even be termed as a lucky great because after my struggle of 10 years, this was the biggest hit I ever got. And this also opened a floodgate of opportunities for me. But, that the subsequent stories and the movies that people came up with was similar to that hit movie only. And being an actor, I wanted to explore different genres also. So I was not in a mood to take up the similar stories. And now, after the successful opening of the movie, my producer organized a success party in which there was a press conference being held and with the presence of people from the media, and it was very funny environment. It was light, everyone was making jokes and all. The whole atmosphere was in spits, and to be in the same atmosphere and mood, one person asked me a question like, what do you think of Mr. Gautam Kumar in your role in Kamina Dost? So to maintain the rapid and funny mood, I cheekily replied that Gautam, yeah, Batman of Gotham, no one performs the role I did. And I was proud of my rhyming attempt in the reply and to maintain the fun environment. So everything was done that night. And then I went back to my home. But as soon as I woke up the next day, I was totally shocked to see the news headlines that has said that has reframed my sentence, and the news headlines for Gotham is no match for me, which I never meant to. It was just a funny environment and a light, and I was just making up a little comment out there. But I realized that this is a mistake and things can escalate from here. I tried to contact to Mr. Gotham, but there was no response from his side. I even contacted at his house, not once or twice, but after trying several attempts, someone from his house received the call and said that no one was at home. So this also took a lot of mental pressure on me. And but even after I started to resume my work after 10 days, in those 10 days I realized that this has adversely affected me, because to the people I used to be in touch, whenever I message them about a new opportunity, movie or story, they try to maintain a distance from me. And this continued for a period of 10 days, and finally, the leading production house, Forrest Productions, approached me with an irresistible offer. They offered me a 3-year contract, which had monthly salary and remuneration for each movie they produced during these 3 years. I was ecstatic about this offer, and only at the last moment, one lawyer from their side told me that that you see the contract, because they would be having final decision on my career. And I said, oh, okay. I was in a hurry because after a pressure of 10 days, I was seeing an opportunity down there, and did not give any heed to the information. But only later I realized that I should have. So initially, with the everything with Poshta's production was going good, we had a discussion on a story, and they orally agreed to start a movie on Indian superhero. I was super excited about being the first Indian superhero. A buzz was also created in the media about it, but you would know that it's almost a year and there's no progress on that movie. My career is in a standstill, and there was no news about shooting movies. I was getting no notification, no calls from them regarding the same. So when I went to meet the head of Post Productions, he explained me his inability to produce the movies due to pandemic, that he was not in such a good financial position or whatever. But I objected to him that at the same time you are saying this to me, you are also releasing new movies, and I have also news that production of other movies are also simultaneously going on. And this, I don't know what happened, but he suddenly lost all his school, and we then had a heated discussion in which he openly, you can say it was a threat, direct threat on me, that he would destroy my whole career. And I would reply to that you are not the only one to do the movie with me. I also have other offers. To which he replied quickly that first read your contract and then talk to me. So from there I went back to my home, and but only then when I read my contract, I realized that there was one clause which says I cannot act in any other picture during the period of contract. So even though tried to contact the people from my first movie, the director and producer there, but they were afraid of this production house, and they did not want to get in the middle of all of this. And I don't have concrete proof, but I suspect that this is all being done to destroy my career. It's like a revenge from Gotham, for revenge for a mistake I never committed. You know, and right now I'm caught in this crossfire, and I seek your help to get out of this. I've been under heavy mental duress during all this event, and the time, and I I just don't know what I can do. I seem to have lost all hope, and I don't know if they are taking the revenge, and if anything doesn't work right at the last time, I'm gonna commit suicide and write their name on the suicide road to take the vengeance, even if I'm gone. So, I just need your help to get out of all of this and save my career.
Yes, see, we definitely understand what kind of a situation that you are in. But we would like to tell you that we are here to assist you to get out of the situation. So you would not be needing to take any extreme steps in order to relieve yourself of the situation. We have legal remedies for this. So you please don't worry about that, all right?
Okay.
However, we would like to ask you, do you have the agreement that you signed with the said production house, Porsche's, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, correct. I do have Right now I do not have the copy, but I'll bring that the next time we have a session.
Definitely. Yes, please do. So, if you are aware, was there any termination clause in this contract? As in, you are saying that the manager or the director, right, of Porscha's production house
Yeah,
was
the
not
head.
ready to ready to provide you with any movie opportunities, was not performing the part of their contract,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, are you aware of any specific termination clause in which penalties are mentioned? Because if
Uh,
they act that way, what penalties will be imposed on them? Are you aware of anything like
no, at first I was all excited to enter into the agreement and I didn't read, but after I read and discovered various clauses, but still there was no mention of the penalty period because we all thought that the 3 years would pass with both making great movies with each other.
It's all right, sir. We understand where you're coming from. Then, would you like to tell me that did the contract talk about how many movies you'll be making, or how will you get your consideration? How will you get your payment?
Yeah, so there was no explicit mention on a minimum or maximum number of movies, but the clause said that they would plan to produce one movie in a year if Porsche finds a suitable story and the supporting cast. And sorry, what was your other question?
How is the payment will be made?
Yeah, so they contained two parts. The payment had two parts. One was a monthly fee, about 2.5 lakhs, and then uh, sorry for the disturbance. There was monthly fee of 2.5 lakh, and then they would pay me remuneration for each movie apart from that monthly salary, and the terms of that remuneration would be mutually decided upon.
So the remuneration, the percentage of remuneration was not decided.
Yeah, no, it was not decided. Would be decided regarding each movie.
Okay. So talking about the monthly fees, do you receive that monthly fees regularly, or the production house is not paying monthly fees as well?
Yeah, till now I have been receiving the monthly payments, uh, but I suppose that they would stop it any time now.
Okay. So
All right. So we would want to ask you, would you still want to continue this contract with the production house? What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I do not have a personal grudge with them. I just want to save my career and all. And to if I lose relevance and there's no new movie in in time, then I might lose many more other offers, and I can lose everything which I have gained over the past 10 years as a result of the effort I have put in the last 10 years. So yeah, I would even continue the working with them because they even announced about that superhero movie, and that was all it became also the announcement only became popular with the people in social media. So yeah, it would be great if we could continue doing that.
we understand, sir. It's very unfortunate that you're stuck in a situation like this, wherein you are in a contract, but then you're not getting any movie. So, would you like to tell me? Uh, you specified that the production house, when you asked that why was there no movie produced, they said that they have no money to produce a movie, but then
Yeah.
they have news that they are producing a movie, right?
Yeah.
Can you know? Is the production house anywhere related to Gotham?
Well, um, one thing is that this industry works primarily on connections, and
Yes.
the thing about connection is that you never know who is related to whom. I cannot concretely say you that it's all an act of Gotham, but I do feel like that's all a revenge plot being plotted against me for a mistake that I never intended to commit.
Yes, sir. So, do you know who is the? I mean, do you ever have a hint that the new movie which they are producing has Gotham in it?
Well, no, Gotham is not in those movies. They were As far as I can recollect, those movies had already been produced and were in the final stages when I entered into the contract with them. There was no such other relation of Gotham with the production house.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, Mr. Nihal, what kind of relief do you feel that you want? What kind of course of action do you want to take?
Yeah, I just want an amicable solution and want to get out of this mess as soon as possible and return to the big screen. Silver screen is where my heart resides, and I have one job that is to act. And I just want that the problems that I'm facing are to get rid away from that and save my career at last.
Apart from this production house, do you have any other offer right now, or the people approaching you that you that they have to make a movie with you?
No, earlier just after the release of my first movie, I was having the offer, but didn't want to be in the same genre repeatedly, so I didn't agree to them. But after the whole of the incident with Gotham, things got pretty bad, and now everyone is apprehensive about going into making a movie with me because of the two giants, that is Gotham and the production house.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, just to clarify, according to
Yeah.
what you have told us, you do not want to exit out of the contract with the production house because you still want to work with them, and there is still time left for the completion of the contract, and you want this to be resolved amicably, right?
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
to add to that, even if they do not want to work with me, at least let me work independently, let me be in the movies.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if they don't want to do the movie with you, you're saying that they should relieve you of the present contract, right? So you're
Yeah.
okay with not working with them also, right?
Yeah, both things work.
Okay, we understand where you're coming from.
So what you want is you want the clause which is mentioned in the contract which prohibits you from working with another. You want that removed.
Yeah, either get me the movies or let me do the movies. The only two things.
So
All right.
I would like to just get clarity on this point. So are you okay with staying in contract with them and working for others?
Yeah, that is also fine for me.
Okay.
Oh. So, Mr. Nihil, we totally understand why you think that this is the course of action you need to take, and we hear you, all right? But to make your analysis of this problem easier, we have come up with a SWOT analysis, and we'd like to present it to you briefly. All right. So, a
Okay.
SWOT analysis is basically we will explain about your strength, weakness, opportunities, and then threats. All right. So, here the strength that you have is that you have entered into an explicit agreement with this production house, wherein the agreement they have promised that they will give you movies, right? In a basic level,
Yeah.
that is the agreement. So,
Yeah.
because they are not performing this agreement, you have all the rights to seek damages because they are explicitly violating this agreement. All right. So that
Yeah.
will be your biggest strength.
And what I feel is weakness in this whole scenario is that you signed the contract without going through it. I mean, there
Yeah.
is a mistake of fact here. So do not worry about that. We have legal remedies against the same.
Yeah, we can actually turn this weakness into an opportunity. So basically, you were not aware of the clauses in the contract, right? Which is
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, which is okay. So you can still, however, seek damages because of their non-performance. You can seek damages. All right, that is one thing you can do. Okay,
Yeah.
the other options that we will present to you are that you can also, we'd advise you to go into a negotiation with them, and you can change the clause in the contract wherein it is mentioned that you are not allowed to do any other movies. All right.
Yes.
Do you want us to explain what a negotiation setting is?
Yeah, if you could please explain it to me.
So negotiation is a method of dispute resolution in which you will be represented by a counsel and the other party will also be represented by a counsel, and both the counsel will help both the party to move towards an amicable solution. And
Okay.
there will be no third party present here. It's just four of you trying to reach an amicable solution.
All right.
Okay.
Also, one other benefit that we have to highlight about this is that this whole problem affects your reputation as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, in a negotiation, confidentiality between what both the parties are discussing is completely ensured. So this won't have a risk of bad publicity, or your reputation won't be affected. So this is why we would advise you to consider having a negotiation with the other party, wherein we can sort of amend the terms of the contract. All right?
Okay, so any other person would not know that we are going to a negotiation, no?
Yes.
100% confidentiality is ensured.
Yeah, that would be great because as and when the media gets any news, they just exaggerate that thing, that which has even happened, which is the root cause of my problem. I never made the comment.
Definitely. In our SWOT as well, the major threat would be that bad publicity.
Yeah.
So we can escape that as well if you opt for it.
Yeah, yes, I think that would be a great option.
All right.
Yes. So do you have any other thing on which you need assistance?
So no, apart from that, um, I think that you have satisfied me up to an extent, and after having this session with you, the hope is also enlightened again. The spark of hope is rekindled. So yeah, I'm quite content with the session.
That's great to hear.
We are glad to hear that, sir. So, sir, after this session, we can also have a follow-up session wherein you can think about this negotiation session when you want to do it, whether you want to do it or no.
Yeah.
Then, if you have any other further questions, we can resolve that in our next follow-up session.
Okay, surely we can.
So we will get our secretary in touch with you so that you can remind or inform them about your schedule. All right. So that according to your convenience, we can fix the dates for these sessions. All right.
Yeah, that would be great.
In the meantime, I would also request you to give us the copy of the agreement that you entered with the production house, so that we can look into the technicalities and then see if there's any other thing that we can do. So if there are any other languages that we can see.
Yeah, I'll provide you with that also.
Sure.
So you will require it by post or by email?
Sir, you can send us a mail. The form which we asked you to fill out that contains our email ID. You can forward the same to that mail ID.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes. And sir, after the end of the session, we'll also prepare a brief summary of whatever we have discussed, and then we'll send it to you so that you can that will assist you in making a good decision. Sir, can we mail the same to you?
Yeah, surely mail the same.
Yes, sir. And I would also request you to fill up the form that you were supposed to do it, so that we get all the essential details.
I'll surely fill that up.
Yes. So do you have any other questions?
No further questions from my side for now.
Okay, see you in the next session then.
Thank you and all the best.
All the best.
Okay, thank you so much.
So how do you think counsel the session went?
Okay, so I feel that the session went very, very successfully because when the client initially came in, they had no clue about what to do, where to approach. He was very mentally agitated because he was considering going for suicide. So it's good that we were able to convince him that no, there are legal remedies for this problem, and we have also presented it, and the client seems pretty convinced. However, there are certain things that we will have to take a look at.
Yes.
Right? So here in this case, the client, I think we should firstly ensure that the contract before any termination happens, the client has itself stated that they would like to continue working with the production house.
So obviously we can use a section 10 of specific relief act and ask for specific performance of the contract. So if the other party has promised our client that you be with us and then we'll give you movies, looking at the reputation he has.
Definitely.
And then here, when asked to him that why is he not making movies, he's making excuses that he does not have money to. But then he's clearly violating that as well, because our client for a fact has an information that he's making movies with other actors.
Alright.
So this is clearly a violation on his part.
Yeah, right. And even during the negotiation, if they still deny that they will not be able to make the performance of the contract, we have other ways to compensate our client. Even I'll remind you of a case called K. Narendra versus Riviera Apartments. Right?
Yes, definitely use
So,
that.
yeah, according to Section 20 of Specific Relief Act as well, it is given that damages can be sought if not specific performance is done.
Yes.
So we can definitely go ahead for this as well.
Yes.
The second thing that we need to do is that if the client is not getting movies from the production house, then we will have to remove that clause, that particular clause in the contract, which says that you are prohibited from working with other production houses.
Yes. Maybe we can also state in the negotiation session that what you want is you can reduce fees a bit, and then you can remove this particular clause which prohibits you from working with the same. So it will ensure that even if they want, if the production house here in the question wants to make a movie with our client, they're free to do so. And in a way, our client is also not prohibited from entering into other contracts, because even if they have not money, even if they do not have any money to produce any movies, our client is at a loss.
Yeah, definitely.
When though he can go to other production houses and get some movie signed, so it is his future and career at stake. So just because they do not have money to produce, and then because of this clause, we cannot put our client's future on stake.
That's true.
Yes. So I guess we should arrange a negotiation session and then work towards removing this particular contract which prohibits him from working with other production houses.
Yeah, so once he sends us the copy of the agreement, I think we can research on it further, and then we can take a step further, because our client was put on the spot, so he might not be aware of many legalities of the agreement, right? So we definitely need to go through that once again, and in the next session we will be taking this further and we will inform him regarding what we have conclusion we have come to.
And also our client stated that he's ready to even terminate the whole contract. So here, when our client states that he did not read the clause before signing it, there is a mistake on his part. So that is a mistake of fact, and the contract which is entered into by mistake of fact are voidable. So we can put up a simple point in the negotiation session that if you're not in a situation to produce any movies, let us terminate the contract, because the contracts are voidable if there is a unilateral mistake.
Right. Yes. Yeah, so I think this should be our last resort, because the client has also told us that he would want to continue working with them until and unless they don't provide him with any other movies, or they don't let him go to other production houses. Yes. So in this case, we should definitely try to sort of terminate the contract and bring him out of this trap.
Yes. So, but the only requirement that client has that he should have a successful career, he should make movies, and then he should again become that popular how he was.
Yeah.
So I guess we can clearly do that.
Yeah. So let's wait for the next session. Let's also wait for the copy of the agreement so that we can look into it further.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I